Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Iowa soccer supporters. I'm Ben Brackett, your Soccer Talk co-host, alongside my good pal, Blake Siebers. Siebes, on the left side of our back three today. How you doing today?
I'm good. Interesting day, to say the least. We'll probably get into it quite a bit. But if this isn't a plug for our YouTube channel, I don't know what is. So subscribe, like, check us out, because we'll have some good things coming up for you.
I know, and I guess we can't really say this enough, but you subscribing to our YouTube channel, you following us, you liking us, all that kind of stuff, that's really the thing that makes a difference.
Got it.
Oh,
is it in?
My goodness.
Yes, game over.
And I don't think we could have given a
cow.
better plug
Oh,
for
man.
the
Luckily, we
pod.
took 7 takes for this pod.
So where was
And
the lino at?
dog's
the time?
excited.
That's what I want to know.
A lot
that
of
is an
action here.
absolute
Okay.
game
So
winner.
let's try it. We're not going to lose our nerve here.
No, we got to keep this going, Ben.
Levon is losing his nerve, but we'll be fine.
So
So we have a double OT winner from distance from DCG. They go up 1-0 over Waverly Shell Rock. Late. First five, last five.
Second overtime.
Still, I mean, yeah, fair enough. And
Sorry,
so-
I didn't mean to interrupt you. But
No, thank you. Yeah,
I don't
fair
know.
enough. And so here we go with the 2A girls. They've
This has thrown this into a
it's
complete.
perfect. So Dallas Center Grimes goes up 1-0 over
won.
Waverly Shell Rock to win it. So Siebes, what do you think? I don't know. We this is totally off the cuff now. Great.
You know, we had this plan that we were going to talk kind of 1A girls, Assumption Denver, while the 2A game was going on. And I don't know what to do now, Matt.
well, I want to
Take over.
I want to see this again because this is going to be really controversial. I mean, this is a VAR-esque type goal, right? So what happens is the ball gets shot from distance, hits the bar, then hits the ground. The goalkeeper saves it, but then she walks into the goal. So my question
that was the
is,
weird part.
when did the ball go in, and then where was the linesman or the linesperson when the goal was called, and how clear was it? And let's see how clear of a picture she can get. And I'm wondering if our media team might be able to pull this up at some point and get a clean view of the ball in relationship to the line. And I bet we can't get a explicit one, but I bet we can get one that creates some controversy and some comments for sure.
Well, let's not get bogged down on it too much. Let's talk about the game real quick because a long ground out 0-0 game from a couple opponents that have known each other for a long time. 2019 was the first time they met of any note. Waverly Shell Rock, led by Kenzie Rowling, won the state title in 2019 for the 2A. DCG has had their number since. They won 3 in a row in 21-22, or 22-23, 24, and here we are at number 4, aren't we, Siebes?
Yeah, they did it. They absolutely did it. So,
Kind of a historic night for the Mustangs. I mean, I remember some of those freshmen that we were watching 4 years ago. I'm going to have to look at the roster to give you those names, but I definitely remember them then contributing, and then now here they are winning 4 years in a row. What an incredible career you could have as a high schooler.
Yeah, super. Very well done. We talked to Dan James, the DCG boss, before the game. We got a little banter going back and forth with him now, right? Because we've got to know him a little bit over the years. Great guy, great staff he has, and they always do something. They have some superstitions with the khaki cargo shorts. They love it, and that is so impressive. By the way, to win 4 in a row on the girls' side, and this is the crazy thing, Ben. They won 5-0 the first round game against Pella. 2-0 against Xavier, and 1-0. So did not give up a goal all week.
That's pretty that is really impressive, actually, now that you say it. And, I was listening to the broadcast while we were watching it as well so that we could kind of get a little bit of both. And it was interesting. I mean, it sounds like there's it's a pretty deep team. There's a lot of subs going in and out of the game. A lot of names that I think are going to be important for this title. Dan James, let's talk about the culture he creates real quick, because that's what we're seeing right now. If you've been watching it on PBS, shout out to PBS, good coverage. and then also it's just also cool to see the culture that he's created, right?
What a battle, too. Yeah, I'm all over the place. But yeah, like he's done it. He's created this, like all the girls are all in.
Well, when
they're
you talk
fighting
about the
for each
battle,
other.
That's exactly the point, Siebes, is that they're so together, and then they fight for each other so hard, and it doesn't surprise me that they won overall, right? I mean, Waverly Shell Rock, obviously a very good team, but it doesn't surprise me that Dan James had this one figured out, and his culture is just always so good. And those camo shorts, what do you think, Siebes? 10 out of 10?
100%. I love it, too, because he can sneak up on almost anybody with the hat and the shorts, but that bright red shirt, Dan, I don't know. Maybe we need a camo shirt for next year's state tournament.
And just red shorts and a red hat.
Well, no,
maybe.
it's all camo. With a hint of red somewhere.
I like it.
So, hate to interrupt, but I've just been rewatching it over and over again, and I think it's very clear to me as I watched it, it's a goal. It hits the bar, and then it looks like there's clear ball between the line and the actual width of the ball, so you can see grass in between. So it's really interesting.
So can we use that to talk about the refereeing a little bit, Matt?
Yeah, I
think that that call is absolutely correct, but it seemed like it was ref with a heavy hand. And was that the heavy hand? I should say that. Was it a heavy hand, or was it the competitive spirit between the two teams? Because to be fair, like they were after each other and they know each other really well. So, Giza, I'm not trying to I'm not going after you. I'm just asking
they fought, they battled, and that was fun to see. And I don't know, I would say he may be quick to the card a little bit. Luckily, nothing was a result of it.
Well, we know he's always up for a chat about it too. So I think
he'll have his.
I think reasoning. A good game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the refereeing affected the game at all. In fact, I thought he did a good job in that game. So I will say this about refereeing, though. I thought the referee that had the best performance of anyone that I saw all week was Chris Civitat. I've watched him on a number of occasions now, and I think he's been excellent. I think he's the best. I think he's the best referee we have in Iowa right now, Chris Civitat. Ben, you walked away just a second
no, I could
ago,
hear you,
but
Christopher
he was
Civitat.
He had the. Did he have the 4A semifinal, or was it was the 3A semifinal? It was Urbandale.
Yeah, he did well.
Yeah, did really well. Anyway, that's just
it's a big moment for him, and all these refs. Like I think overall, we've had pretty good refs. There's been one or two decisions here or there, and we don't need to necessarily talk about them right now. None of them necessarily in this game either, but we've had a few. And I mean, you watch the World Cup, are there a few?
Yeah, and I think we're fair, right? We say when they're good. We say when they miss one or two, and they're human.
We definitely try to be.
Yeah, and we love the referee community.
100%.
They may not love us, but we love them.
So yeah, we've got maybe expected. Just like I think you talk about gamers and teams that can figure out how to win when it matters. Mm-hmm. DCG and Dan James, they're there at the top of the list. He was also, I don't know, we didn't talk about this on the pod, did we, Blake, about all the different teams that have? Did we talk about all the teams that have 3-peated and 4-peated and all that?
The last time we did, but I mean, just to recap, I mean, I think this is only the third, maybe he's the third coach to have 4-peated. I think there was Xavier who maybe had won 8 in a row at some point in time, but he has now sort of put himself in that upper echelon of coaches who have those 4-peats, which is pretty insane, actually. So congrats to Dan James. We scrimmaged DCG.
Talk about some of the players
during Sub-State,
please, Matthew.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too many of the players, unfortunately, all that well, but I would say, I mean, they've just got. Wow, that's a great strike. We're watching it again. She just took a chance, and she actually got a hold of it, and it's almost like it surprised the goalkeeper. It went over the goalkeeper's head and just beat her for pace, and it was actually bending away from her as well. It's a really good strike. I'll save my comments for goalkeepers later in terms of the 3A game, but I think what's lacking there a little bit for the Waverly Shell Rock goalkeeper is just technique, right? When the ball comes in super fast like that, I mean, aren't you just reaching up
out of there
with that hand and just trying to tip it over as opposed to going up with two hands? I think a little bit of a technique was lacking there, but it was to be fair to the goalkeeper, the ball was really well struck. I don't think we've seen a ball hit like that all weekend in terms of one that's got that sort of movement, that sort of power, and that sort of distance. So, I mean, for me, it's got to be goal of the tournament, right?
For
The
girls'
game
side,
winner?
for sure, 100%.
Yes, has to be.
I mean, game
Golden
winner,
goal?
Double
golden
overtime.
goal, double overtime.
Yeah.
For the
let's just-
four-peat.
Who was that that hit that? Do we know? Matt's gonna figure that out. While let's just give some shouts out quick. Just so we get some names out there. Alex Hofbrauer was a senior. She's committed to go to Central Missouri. I mean, if you were watching the game, you just heard her name over and over and over because she was on the ball and getting after it. Then Kenna Knief and Anna Michelson, they've both led the team in scoring all year with 7 goals, which is hilarious to me and in a good way because if you look down the line, Hofbauer had 6, Landry Glasgow had 6 goals, and this is like regular season stats. You've got Knief with 7, Michelson with 7, a couple others with 1, a couple with 2. Then you've got Alexa Gill. So you've got just like multiple people contributing, and that's just a sign of a well-rounded team that's there to be reckoned with.
And
for
it's
sure,
it's
right?
Hofbauer that gets the game winner, number one. Did you hear that?
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So even more fitting. And then I think it's also credit to Dan James and DCG. In your location where you are, they play a lot of 3A teams, don't they? And so they're getting they lost 4 games this year, I think, but they're not. I mean, those aren't to teams that they're playing against in the state tournament. So then they get there, even if they're 12-4, I think, something like that. They had 12 wins, 4 losses, 1 tie, maybe something like that.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you're basically 12-0.
Yeah,
12-0-1.
they played Waukee Northwest. I think they beat
State
Val.
champion of the 3A
Right.
since we haven't gotten there yet, but we'll get there.
Only lost, I think, 1-0 or whatever it was, but still played them regardless of the result. They played Valley. I believe they beat them. And so they played a really tough schedule. They scrimmaged us before the state tournament, which maybe we were one of the one of the teams that had not quite as good as a record, but strong nonetheless. And so they go out and challenge themselves, and they set themselves up for success. I think late on in the season. The one thing I do want to note, you should check, go back and check our Instagram pics, and I hope our pics on Instagram, and I hope our media team gets maybe our results up a little bit later. Because I believe, some of us picked DCG, right?
Almost did.
I know I did, and so I'm not surprised they got the 4-peat. I know from talking to Dan, I don't think DCG. I know they lost a lot of players from last year, and so going into this year, they didn't know necessarily what it was going to look like, and so I think they've been pleasantly surprised by the development of their team and how they progressed, and clearly they've just peaked at the right time, literally at the right time in double
100%.
overtime.
Well,
Let's talk Waverly Shell Rock just
I was
briefly,
gonna
Ben.
say-
Is that all right?
yes, 100%.
What a season, undefeated. And you guys it's interesting, Ben, you talked a little bit about the variety of contributions from DCG. If you look at just goals from Shell Rock, I'd be curious where she's going to go to school because she's a good player. Annika, I'm not sure, sorry. But scored 38 goals this year. Lindy Hubbard, sophomore, scored 28. So those are 2 girls that are
Holy cow.
coming back
25.
for their senior season next year. And then goalkeeper.
That's a combined goals of almost
ton of
60.
goals.
Something silly.
Yeah, you finish up, Steve's stellar records. How many goals did you give up?
Well, I say the goalkeeper,
many did she
unbelievable.
give up?
3. She gave up more goals in this, or the same number of goals. Is that right, Ben?
Well, how many goals did they give up in the quarterfinal, semifinal?
1-1-1 in the
Okay,
quarter
so-
semifinal.
That's equivalent. So she gave up 3 goals in the state tournament. She gave up 1 during the year, so it's 4 all year.
Okay.
That's crazy.
That is.
That's an insane stat.
Scott Shara, done really, really well there, right? We've talked to him last year. We talked to him this year before the game. Again, like you mentioned, Ben, at the beginning, they built a powerhouse. They just got to try to figure out how to knock the Phillies off.
Yeah, I think I heard the stat on the way home from the game that they had. I believe this is now. They've been to the state final. It's either he had been or Waverly Shell Rock had been to the state final before this game 6 times. They were 1-5 in the state final, and so now they're 1-6, and so they're getting to the big game often, and it's just they're just getting knocked off by DCG, and it's interesting too because they beat DCG earlier in the season 2-0, and so they're just going to be. I'm sure they're heartbroken, but I mean it's obviously super early to predict what might happen next year, but I mean, is it too early to say we're probably going to see DCG Waverly Shell Rock in the final again next year?
It's
I don't
very
know.
possible.
But if you're returning goal scorers that have scored almost 60 goals combined, I mean, and they're coming back, you'd expect they're going to be right back to there. Is the goalkeeper, what year is she? She's a junior.
Yeah.
So she's coming back as well.
Yeah.
So they have goal scorers and a goalkeeper and good product in between. They'll be back in the final.
They scored 109 goals
Whoa,
this year.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
109.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, obviously the margins were fine. A late winner in the double overtime. I think well played all around from both teams. Like I think that's like a real final where there's really not a ton between the two teams. There were no negative moments of there was nothing really controversial or bad that made the game a problem. So like I loved it. So in typical fashion, we're just gonna mix it up. We went 2A first. So let's just go backwards then, or is that how we do it? Let's go. So 2A, before 2A was the 3A, and let's jump to 1A. Let's start with the beginning of the day. We got there to watch Davenport Assumption take on Blake, you're always going to help me here when I need it.
You're talking
Feels
to
like
1A, right?
I am, yeah. I just got
It's,
to
Denver.
get there again.
Denver.
Denver.
Right. Denver's the number
I
one
know,
seed.
I know.
Undefeated.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, Ben. But
Yeah. You can criticize
we need to fill
me,
time
please.
right now. So,
No,
so let's
we're
just
great.
talk
Go.
about it. So we get there this morning. You walk into the Iowa State women's field. What's the first thing we noticed? Everybody that we saw noticed.
The field?
Yeah. Grass length, grass.
Yeah.
That's got to be a talking point because everybody is talking about it this week from the
So
girls'
that
side
field
up
was
in Ames.
pristine. It was probably maybe an inch and a half, like perfectly cut. It's got the synthetic weave into it too, so like it's supposed to grow back quicker and withstand a little bit more of a beating. And I tell you what, we saw 3 games played on it today, and it rained a fair bit. And Levon would say that means that it was pretty impressive because I don't think there wasn't a scuff on the field at the end, so it was immaculate. Beautiful pitch.
Yeah.
That said, what about Lead Recreation Center in comparison?
Boo.
I mean, it's probably twice, maybe even 3 times the length in grass. I mean, I don't know, but it was pretty long.
That's the
grass.
question. Right.
I mean, if you're on YouTube, like this is literally the length of the grass at the Cyclone Soccer Complex. It was beautiful. It still looked like it would be one of the nicest fairways you played on in Des Moines, right? If you were playing golf.
And you guys have seen
it
some
was
nice
that-
soccer fields in
Right.
your day.
Yeah.
It's up there with
Right.
any of them.
Right, but this is the length right here of the grass. So you can imagine how the ball was moving, right? It was rolling like it was on turf. When we went to Lead Recreational Field, this was the length of the grass. And this a little embellished, but
I would love just shout out for our YouTube. Check it out because Matt's gonna give you the fish that he caught last week.
do you
to
remember?
size distance.
Do you remember when
it
you?
just changed the
It did
game
change the
totally.
yes. No, it did change. the game.
Today was so much more enjoyable to watch.
What did I say to you? I was like, "What's the difference? Why is it so much better today?"
It looked fast. The ball was moving. The players looked like they were moving. Again, I equate it to treading water, trying to run in the water, right? When you playing in long grass and the ball's getting caught up, you're tripping. We're seeing goals because goalkeepers trip over their feet in the box. That's how long the grass was at Lead Recreational Fields. And so then we go to Cyclone Sports Complex, and we have a carpet. I mean, you could put your head down on that grass and sleep at night. It was that nice. And after 3 games, it was still looked like nobody had played on it. It just made such a bigger difference. Now, maybe the union is saying, well, it's just a treat to get to the final. And so I can get that and I understand that. But I think we need some consistency for the integrity of the tournament in terms of what all the teams are sort of how they're playing. And so
So let's talk atmosphere then too, because when we were at Lead, the atmosphere was maybe a little bit better because there were the two fields going. There were more people around. It was a better atmosphere on Tuesday than it was this evening. Just 'cause it seemed like it was an intimate.
Yeah, I mean
Intimate
right. So
venue.
you're closed in on Tuesday, right? You've got two fields going on. They're very close together, so everybody's kind of tucked into the same part, and so it's very concentrated. And so then as the people, and then you have staggered games. So as teams arrive, you get that sort of crossover, and it makes the atmosphere what it is. When you're in Cyclone Sports Complex, you've got the stadium, the stands, the grandstand, which is somewhat small, and then you've got a track, and then you've got the field. So the fans are further off the fields, and it just makes for a more spread out atmosphere. And so it just didn't. The games we were at, the atmosphere was, I think, lacking. If we compare what we saw at MediaCom last night, we've got the stands pretty much right over the field, and then the atmosphere of that, the atmosphere is completely different for the boys' games. So it's just, I think it's just talking points. It's a beautiful complex, but so those are the difference. I think you sacrifice quality of the field when you go to lead without question. You get a little bit better atmosphere, and so I think it's just something that it's a talking point. I would encourage the Girls Association to take a hard look at that, in terms of moving forwards.
To be fair, been a talking point on the boys' side too. Although we feel like for the semifinals and finals, like they kind of nailed it.
They got it right.
Well, I think the big thing would be if the question is going to be, they knew rain was in the forecast. Did they leave the grass long at lead because of the rain coming? Because if they would have cut it short,
It would have been
it would have. I think that eliminates what we're complaining. What everybody, not just us. That was
this is definitely
almost
not our
unanimous
complaint. This is our
feedback.
observation. We have received complaints.
Yeah.
I think you just have to cut both fields the same length, right? That's really it. In Cyclone Sports Complex is always going to be a little bit nicer, but you got to get the length of the grass down.
Well, let's talk about Davenport Assumption Knights and circle back to how the excellence of their program over the years just comes back to the forefront. They have been crowned today 12-time state champion, which is incredible. They hadn't been to the state final, I don't think, or they certainly hadn't won it it's been a good 4 or 5 years. Is that right? I might be. It's been a bit. It's certainly been 3 years. I don't know. Looks like maybe I'm going to get checked on this, but it sounds like Coach Mouse, Elizabeth Mouse, she just earned her 150th career win during the regional semifinal of sub-state. So her winning continues, right? A star player for the squad back in the day, also a serial winner with the program. Then you've got Drew Dorsey, the center forward for them, who is going to the University of Cincinnati. I believe now she's the younger sister of another Dorsey. Did her sister? There was another University of Cincinnati product from whether it was Assumption or Xavier. I think it was Assumption at some point in the recent memory as well. So I just wonder
Was
if
it
there's
her? Was that committed early?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
So they had a center midfielder that was pretty good. I don't know. We'll dig deep into our memory bank at some point. But either way, Drew Dorsey, great player. And you talk about the spreading the love over there. Like they've got players that have scored a lot of goals as well. They've got somebody that scored 12 goals. In addition, good side, and they were kind of all over Denver. It didn't, they scored a good goal at the beginning of the game, good goal later on, and they were getting good chances.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at Assumption's schedule too, which is interesting, right? Because Assumption was 14-4 on the year. So you're saying, and whereas Denver didn't lose,
undefeated, yeah.
Right. So when you look at their schedule, though, then I think this is something that coaches need to look at, because I think there's a theme we're seeing here, especially for the teams that are winning some of these smaller classes, smaller schools. They're playing schools from 3A. So Assumption played Pleasant Valley and drew them this year, right? That's a pretty good result because Pleasant Valley was in and out of the top 10. They played Bettendorf and lost 1-0. They played Cedar Rapids Kennedy and won 2-0. And so I'm just trying to look here. Where's the next one? Then they played Muscatine and then lost 1-0 to Muscatine, another good 3A school. So you look at this schedule, and they were testing themselves all season long. I'm trying to figure out where their other North Scott beat them. I think that might be another 3A school. I'm not sure. And then Independence beat them.
State qualifier, Independence.
Okay. So you look at their losses, and they're against really good teams, and so they're clearly testing themselves, which I think is significant. The other point I want to make is in our selections, so they were the number 3 seed that came in. Some of us definitely picked them to win it, and I definitely picked them to win it. So that's 1A and 2A that I predicted correctly. We haven't gotten to 3A yet, and I don't want to talk about that because I didn't get that one.
Okay, but again, I would say talk a little bit about the game, right? That Stevens, the girl scores off the cross in the maybe 7th minute. I know, Ben, it's a little, maybe 6th minute, just outside your first 5, last 5. But essentially it puts the game in right, and then Dorsey clinically finishes it in the second half inside to the far corner.
So, because we're going to talk about the first 5, last 5 more during this conversation as it goes on. But when you compare that with that 2A game where they went scoreless until late into the double overtime, multiple times the announcer, the commentator, Jake Johnson, he's the coach at Xavier, shout out Coach Johnson, because you continued to make the point that the teams had sort of settled into sort of a second phase of play. Like they've
second phase.
Well, no,
interesting.
It's easy with sorry, whatever. I'm not trying to use buzzwords. That was a bad turn of phrase for me. I'm sorry. Oh, double entendre, boom, and incorrectly used. Okay. Anyway, so my point is simply that they played through that little 5, 6, 7 minute period where it was nerves, but then they settled into the game, and then the game became a really good game for a little bit, and then you'd see them tighten up again at the end of the half, and then again in the beginning of the second half, same thing. They tightened up and then they resettled into the game. And I think that's just a mark of 2 really good teams that they didn't find themselves in that situation. Sorry, just
yeah. Okay.
Continue.
No, I the one part we talked a little bit about your first 5, last 5. I laugh because golden goal overtime. If there's a goal, it's going to have to happen in the first 5 or last 5 because it's only 10 minutes. No, but assumptions back where they belong. In their right, they've been around, they've won so
Proving
many
once again.
Yeah. So well done. And I don't know, you want to talk about Denver a little bit because
let's please.
We talk about Waverly Shellrock getting so close. Denver again loses in the final. Last year lost to Nevada, and gotta be obviously disappointed.
Only went undefeated, 19-1. Now, when I look at their schedule, I just don't see as many. When you were talking through the schedule of Assumption, I just don't see the same. I mean, I'm looking at, they gave up 1, 2, 4, 5 goals all year, 7 goals all year. It looks like 5 goals. Sorry, and I mean, the amount of shutouts is insane. And then they drew with Nevada at the end of the year, who they beat them right on the way through. Or no? Did they play Nevada again? Anyway,
go ahead. I mean, it looked like a tournament, but
no, they beat Underwood. Ben, remember the goal thriller 5-3 where it got a little bit dicey because they tried to give it away, but then they beat Hudson in that double overtime thriller.
Just not a lot of close games for them during the year, right? Not a lot of competitive games. So when it comes down to it, I thought when I walked up, I thought Denver was actually maybe the better side for a little bit, but so it goes. Depends on if you finish your chances. Talk about some of their players, Siebes.
I should say they beat Pella. Pella's a larger school. I think it's challenging for them where their location is to play these bigger schools.
Adiana Murch, freshman goalkeeper, only 5 goals allowed all year.
That's pretty impressive.
As a freshman, that's wild.
If you've not lost it all, it's not surprising. The other thing I'd say about them too is, I mean, we got our media team got some pretty cool footage of them, and we posted it to Instagram and stuff like that. I know that there were all sorts of their program engaging with our social media accounts and stuff like that and sharing our stuff. I think we got, just crazy amount of views and stuff like that. So thanks to you guys for following us and supporting what we do. It just makes a difference when we see people engaging with our content. So
well, and we talk about coaches too, right? We talk about Dan James a lot, and we've talked about Coach Mouse there and Assumption, but Derek Krebsbach, I think it's right, Krebsbach. He's kind of has an absurd record over the few years that he's been there, and has done really well with the program. So credit to him. Okay, 3A was the middle game of the day, which was interesting to me. I'm curious whether or not it's that, like, what is considered the crown jewel during the day. I know on the boys' side, 7:30 p.m. under the lights is that's the spot to be. So
I was thinking about this, Ben, not to interrupt you.
No, please.
Because we talked so plug one of our old podcasts, Gary Ross, the Girls High School Athletic Union, one of the big dogs over there, but he's the girls soccer chief, and we talked to him. So we asked him this question. The problem is I don't remember the answer, but I think there was something to do with remember a couple years ago there was an issue with the boys.
It was like Gilbert 2A1, and there was the
boys and girls playing at the same time.
But now they're on a different day.
But then there was some attendance parking issues, so you kind of try to break up the game, so it's not the two biggest classes. Maybe, I think. But
all right. Well, I know Gary.
That's a plug for
Gary
YouTube. He was awesome.
I know he was your athletic director in high school and all that, but there was plenty of parking. So I would like to see. I'm just saying. No.
Well, maybe it was
I'm just saying, parking couldn't have been an excuse today because there was plenty. That's my only point.
Okay, don't give people the answer, though. But I would say this, on Tuesday, it was busy.
Fair.
Right? You had to park
with a different location. Lead recreation facility versus the soccer complex. So I'm just giving you a hard time, Steve.
It was the game of the day, though, wasn't it?
It was.
Maybe not. No, DCG might argue, but what a thriller!
I was going to say for the neutral, 3A definitely the game of the day, 2A the battle of the day, but 3A you had the Waukee Northwest Wolves, having been number 1 seeded 3 years in a row, coming to the state tournament and not walking out of there with the hardware, and then on the other end of the field, they were playing against the Linmar
Lions.
I was going to say Tigers. I was just going to guess. But so the Linmar Lions.
Northwest won 2-0 earlier in the season as well.
So great game. Again, especially for the neutral, and this is where we're going to hammer on the first 5, last 5. So, the rain's starting right, Blake. We did a little weather report at the end of the 1A game. So it went 1A, and then a little weather report. The rain starts, 3A starts, and it's really starting to rain. And first 5 minutes of game,
Aubrey Luck scores off a cross. Northwest tries to clear it because it had been raining a little bit. I would say I'd give the benefit of the doubt to the
100%.
Northwest defender.
It's a dissectable goal, though, right? Isn't it, Blake? Right, great service from the right side. It comes through. A couple people kind of miss it. It skips across the grass. It hits her in the midsection, I would say. But there's a question. I don't think there's no chance it's a handball. But it's still it's a talking point. Was it or not? Because was the other team asking for it?
Yeah, Northwest asked for it, but no, well done by the referee.
Yes, 100%. And so Matt, let's bring you back into that, right? So great goal. They go up 1-0, and then lightning delay. What's that like when you're taking a team in at not halftime, but you've gone down 1-0 or you've gone 1-0, and then there you go.
It depends on the scenario, right? Which I think it was a wonderful break for Waukee Northwest, right? Because you go down early, 1-0 in those first couple of minutes, and ordinarily you have to regroup on the field, and so they actually got a break where they get to settle in, get back in the locker room, talk about how they just need to regroup and come back out and play like they want to play. And we talked to the girls after the game, and then they said just that. They basically needed a reset, and that's what they did. So for them, I think it was a real benefit for them to get back into the locker room.
You've got first 5
and
of the game, you've got last 5 of the game, you've got first 5 after half and first 5 before half.
Yeah, we basically had 2 first fives in the
Correct.
first 5 minutes,
And
right?
guess what happens?
We get another goal. Yeah. So we get the equalizer
Short
from
corner. Go ahead. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah, we get the equalizer from Northwest. The short corner is a good shout because
Was it two? Was it?
Nope, you're right, Blake. Keep going.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it was
Sorry,
1-1.
Yeah.
If
corner.
if that's the one that's a short corner, what's interesting about that is
was.
Linmar doesn't defend with 2. They only defend with 1.
And they did it all game. And
Right. They got burned by
credit
it.
to Northwest, Tony Gabriel, Matty Smith, the guy that took my my bedroom for years.
And it's asking the question, right? Do you bring 2? Do you bring 1? What do you, Coach Siebers, Coach Saheg? I know what I do. I'm just asking.
I don't. It's not. I don't think it's a debate though. It's not a question. You
two.
always bring 2.
You always bring 2.
So there's a little, again, talking point.
So they play the short corner. It's a little overlap.
Great
and
ball.
They whip a ball into the back post. It's one of those. You're basically like maybe it goes in the goal, maybe there's traffic, or maybe somebody gets on the end of it. And I don't know who it was that got on the end of
They
it.
technically, I think, claimed it was an own goal.
It looked like it might have been one of the Johnson players. I don't know. It was a scramble,
Yeah.
but it was a great goal, like well worked.
But that's the point. It was a scramble, right? Which means Northwest
They created chaos.
Northwest had players attacking the ball. So first of all, I think it's a great goal because when you take a short corner like that, because I've seen them, I saw them all season long. I saw them from our own team. They break down, right? Like in the moments, they played a really good overlap there, right? I mean, I know it's 2 versus 1, but not only did they have the advantage, but they actually sucked the defender in and played a wonderful overlapping pass. So that's first. Second, the product from the cross was perfect, like you've mentioned, because it gets whipped in far post, gives the goalkeeper a real problem, who, for me, her starting position is too far to the near post, based on what we could see.
And then she took too many steps forward.
Yeah, right. But then you've got players crashing the box. And before this actually happens, I think it's before, maybe it's after, in a different play, you had Romy Croat going into the box. Remember she climbed up that girl's back trying to get to the ball, and the ball actually went into the net, but they called it off. I mean, it was the right call, but again, what you had where you had those players fighting for the ball into the box. And when you commit yourself like that into the box and say, I'm going to try and score, sometimes you get fouls, sometimes you don't, and sometimes you create chaos. And so I just think it's a goal that it's a great goal for a number of different reasons, but more than anything, it's the will to score and the will to get up and fight for the ball. And I think that's what they did. It was really impressive.
I assume it means they've worked on it at least at some point as well. And then shortly thereafter, you mentioned
Weird. That happens again.
you mentioned shortly thereafter, the first 5, last 5. Like shortly thereafter, Romy Croat scores a really nice free kick goal, and Romy Croat was kind of a standout player.
Yeah, I thought she was unbelievable, and I remember her from last year. And she's a
a
sophomore.
sophomore now.
Like, I mean, she
was strong in the tackle.
Yeah, there was
and
2
clean-
fouls they called. Like,
Yeah, and clean in the
that
tackle
just
too,
is
wasn't she?
a big
Seems?
girl foul.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
like, welcome to
like
the next
welcome
level
to
here.
my house.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I
It was
loved
very
it.
much like
It
a
was
welcome to
so
my house
good.
tackle. And the free kick. Matt, we'll talk about the goalkeeping, and Blake, since you're our resident expert, we'll talk about the wall setup. But I thought it was a really, like, based on what she was given, a really well struck free kick. And I just want to point out, I loved her celebration. Generally speaking, I would be a naysayer of the girls' soccer celebrations. They generally just kind of huddle up and jump up and
No, they
down.
jump up in the air.
Yeah, and
like
they're
a little knee tuck.
Yeah, exactly. It's, I don't know, just it's uncanny. But Romy ran to the side and did a nice little. It wasn't a knee slide. It was even better. It was sort of like a side slide. She popped up and she was fired up. I loved it. I wish that that was just more common, because it showed her passion for it, right? And then that's why she's getting into tackles. She's smashing free kicks. I don't know. She's got a lot of heart.
I know. I liked it. I thought it was
Yeah.
good.
So on the other side of the ball, I mean, let's just talk about the goalkeeping. We didn't have a great angle to see what was going on, but I think Linmar had a problem with their wall there, right? Because the free kick was pretty central, but then, as I recall it, and you can shoot holes in this if the viewers saw something different, the wall looked like it was not set on one of the posts. But then, more importantly, the goalkeeper didn't pick a side to be on. The goalkeeper looked like she was behind the wall, so she saw it late. And so it was a really, not to take anything away from Romy's free kick, because I don't know if she would have saved it anyway.
That was good.
But the goalkeeper, there was a problem with the wall. So to me, and where the goalkeeper's starting position was.
I think it makes it much more difficult for Romy if she's not able to see the goal the same way that she was able to.
Walls on
basic
one
soccer,
post,
though, yeah.
goalkeeper on the other, right? And so you're making Romy beat the keeper over the wall and bend it in.
So
or
here's another question for you
post.
guys. So like, it's chaos in those situations, right? Like the ball goes down, people are rummaging for, or, like jockeying for position, right? And then you've got people like the goalkeeper trying to organize, and who usually sets the wall? Like, 'cause I was always brought up, at least coaching wise, like the striker sets the wall, right? Like somebody who's not involved
The
in standing the
goalkeeper
wall, not
sets
involved
the
in,
wall, but
but
the
there's
striker
there's
helps.
A conversation.
Yeah,
There's this whole thing where you're going like, okay, and the striker's going to sit there and go like, oh no, like maybe a little bit this way. They're as if they're taking the kick. Because I think if any of us were standing behind the kick, like you might have gone, ooh, gosh, this wall looks pretty tasty right now. I like it.
Well,
'Cause
that's
you can figure out how to get around it.
That's foreshadowing to, I don't want to get too far ahead of it, but Linmar's goal to make it 2-2, right?
Well,
the
let's go
goalkeeper
there.
was setting up a wall. Joaquin's goalkeeper from, so far
48
away. I
yards
don't know.
away.
There's not a wall, but she was on the near post setting up her wall, and Luck smashes a ball. I don't know, smash is the right word, but hits a ball.
Lofts
and
a long
scores because the
ball.
Joaquin goalkeeper was at her near post
Kind
setting the wall. So, so I don't want to, I don't know where we want to go, but that's kind of the same thing a little bit, Ben.
Well, so we were going to talk about a goalkeeper crisis. Let's finish it out. So it was 2-2 at that point, and then it goes 3-2. Speaking of goalkeeper crisis, late in the game, there's about 8 minutes left, and there's sort of a weird sequence of events where the ball gets popped out. The goalkeeper's come out. She's not quite on her 18. She's probably somewhere between the penalty spot and the edge of the box. And the ball bounces out, and it falls to is it Olivia Stapler?
yeah, I think
Stapleton?
it's, is that Chris's niece?
If so, I feel like we would know that. So, regardless, Liv Stapleton just kind of loops it back into the box, and the goalkeeper is sort of like backpedaling as fast as she can to get to it, and it's just over her head, and ultimately that's the winner. Joaquin Northwest again, again, credit to them. They kept going, they kept pushing. They've been there. They've been at the state tournament 3 years in a row. They've been that one seed. They've worked hard throughout the season to get that one seed, and I think they're finally their reward has been received. We had Olivia Stapleton and Lindsay Shane, a couple of seniors, on the pod for a press conference, and they're pretty fired up.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Because
Olivia had the trophy. in
Oh,
her
she
hands,
she
right?
said she wasn't letting it go.
The first, that was the first and
It was
only
it was literally the
presser
best.
that
It
had
was.
the trophy.
Yeah,
So I love it.
So credit.
I mean, I think the other impressive thing about Joaquin Northwest is the entire season that they've put together, right? And it's hard. I mean, they went in Iowa. They didn't lose to a team all year, so they had a target on their back all year long, right? Everybody knew they'd secured that one spot for the last couple of years and just not been able to get over the hump of actually winning it. But going into the season, they were the number one spot. I mean, every week when we saw those bound rankings go out, Joaquin Northwest was at the top of the ranking. So they were the team to beat all year. And I just there's a lot of parity in these matchups, and we saw that. I mean, because it's not like they were blowing out teams in the state tournament games, right? I guess they did beat Bettendorf pretty handily at 3-0, but it tightened up in the semifinal against Joaquin when they beat them 1-0. And then this game obviously was a 3-2 thriller. But that's a really complete body of work that they've put together for a season when they've had the target on their back the entire time. And so I think it's really impressive. They only lost one game to a Nebraska team, Gretna East, which is a very good team. And then they only drew 2 games, and I'm going to give myself our team an underhanded compliment here, because the only other teams that they drew this year were Ankeny, which is a very good team who went to the state tournament as well, and then a tough Dowling team. We went into their place and drew them 1-1, and so it's a really really good season for Joaquin Northwest. it's a memorable season, not only because they won it and got over the hump, but it's a dominant performance. And I think I would be very shocked if they weren't right up at the top again, moving forward and for several years to come.
What?
So credit to Tony Gabriel. He's done a great job with those girls and that team, and got one. Good stuff to Maddie Smith as well, his sidekick assistant, and Blake's old roommate.
So
roommate means like he took my room, Matt, so it's awkward.
So Linmar, maybe if you've been following us, most recently has been the location where Sophia Bush, the Iowa standout, went to school. She's also apparently, according to the program, been training with the U20 national team.
Yeah, she was.
Which is
She's at
super
Iowa.
awesome. Yeah, what a stud.
Played for old D-Bras for club soccer.
Yeah. So now you've got Abby Roberts, who it sounds like she's going to go to North Dakota State University.
Mike Regan?
Interesting.
What's that?
Mike Regan?
No, because he's North Dakota.
No, he's
North Dakota State.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you got another. Yep, and then you've got Drea Kern, who's going to be going to South Dakota State, and then Lily Pullman's going to go to Loris. So you've got.
Get a lot of that's good stuff out of that group.
Yeah, it is. And then Roberts, she led 3A with 38 goals.
She got a couple more in the tournament.
Yeah, and was also the leader in assists. So that's a young lady that she's got a ceiling that's probably not realized quite yet.
So Reagan's picking. That's some big pickups. So that's 3 I know of. It's Roberts. Isabel Garcia now is transferring into there as well.
Yeah, to Indiana State.
So that's another good pickup, or a big pickup. And then the other one is JoJo Mulehop over at Waukee has committed up there too. So he's recruiting hard out of Iowa, and I think he's got a good trio there for sure.
Linmar, though, right? I mean, we talked the preview pod. They played Valley. None of us picked Linmar to beat Valley, and they absolutely smashed them 3-0. And then I think everybody thought Centennial was going to get through, right? Like beat Centennial 2-1. So
also points to Linmar, female head coach Hannah Clark, only her second season at the school, and has done an amazing job. I would guess, based on the way that they played, she has a whole lot to do with it. Like we didn't get a chance to chat with her or anything like that, but let's just give that a little bit of a shout out.
So interesting too. Some of their
and her assistant coaches: Becky Lenton, Stephanie Merritt, Alex, and Daryl. Well, Alex and Daryl, I don't know, but Becky and Stephanie, So I like the female staff there, right?
So check out some of these results though early on in the season in terms of who they lost
smashed
to.
Yeah. Waterloo West 17.
No.
they
That's not
started
what I'm talking
season.
about.
Okay.
They lost
Struggling
4-0.
big
They
time.
lost 4-0 to Valley early on, like the second game of the season. So they flipped that. I mean, that's unbelievable. Maybe Valley took them a little bit, lightly since they smashed them early on and just said, we're going to take care of Linmar. Who knows?
And then same with Waukee
They got
Northwest.
beat in White Northwest 2-0. And then the other result that is interesting,
Loss to Johnston.
they lost to Johnston 2-0, another state. So those are some interesting results. I would not expect a team that, Dowling got beat 4-0 by Valley, right? We were really close against Johnston. I would not expect a team that loses 2-0 to Johnston to be in the state final like they were. So what that tells you is they just peaked at the right time,
Right
which is. I don't say that lightly. I say that as a huge compliment, right? That's what it's all about.
Well, I think that is the hugest, the largest, the hugest. It's great. The
What's
biggest
their
part about
fourth
this,
loss?
right? Here it's probably easier to see on this. But the biggest part about this is the sort of like the coaching piece. It's peaking at the right time. Like it does not matter. You could literally lose 18 games or 17 or whatever, all your regular season games, and then get through sub-state and win at the state tournament. I've certainly never been done, and I doubt that ever will be, but I don't know, Blake. I just don't think that sometimes I feel like people sacrifice the development or the opportunity to get a little better just in an attempt to win. And that's no good. It doesn't seem like that's the case for Linmar.
Fourth loss was the final, Matt, by the way.
Oh, okay. That's
See,
why
look
it's
at the-
showing as
yeah.
the final. I'm looking all season long, and I'm like, I only see 3. So yeah, that fourth one, it's Bound has already posted the final score. I see.
So I don't know. So well done. We had fun. Big thanks some folks, the boss,
Do we want to talk
Killstrom.
about, do we want to talk about goalkeepers really quick?
Sounds
really
like somebody does.
I do.
So let's do it
I want to talk about goalkeepers because
real quick, Ben. You hear that?
I think that this is not just for this final. This is the team I watched play all year long in the competition as well. I think like coaches in Iowa, and this goes for myself, and I think everyone included. I know Blake's a goalkeeper coach now too. We've got to start doing better for goalkeepers, right? We saw too many goalkeeper errors that are not they were not decision making errors. They were fundamentally incorrect decisions because the fundamentals are not there. And what I'm talking about is things like starting positions, right? And more so on the girl side than on the boy side. But we saw
did see some good goalkeepers yesterday.
Of course we did. They're still good
At the boys.
But I can't. The amount of goalkeepers that got chipped in the state tournament was too many, and I don't think it's the goalkeeper's fault because it happened to all of them.
Can we
which
rephrase
is telling
that
me
term, please? Just a chip. Like chip to me means you meant to, you pulled the
Yeah,
goalkeeper off
right.
your line and you meant to loop them. These are like spoon shots. These are things that are just getting they're getting lumped at the goal, and they're just in that top 20% of the goal. They're up there, and if you're off your line, that's a
Yeah.
problem because then you got to backpedal, and it's not good.
Yeah, we're seeing goalkeepers 2 and 3 yards off their line, and the ball and there's a shot, and so it's going over their head. The goalkeepers can catch the ball if they're on their line. They can touch the post. They all can.
In the
if
2A
they're
game
2
we
years
saw-
off, they cannot.
In the 2A game, we saw a really good strike, Matt, right? That on goal, and the goalkeeper's on her line, and what did she do?
She just tipped it over the bar
Tipped
very
it,
easily.
yeah. I mean, it was a hard one to catch for somebody. If you can't jump a little
Yeah.
higher, that's not that, which is not a problem, but it's always you can tip it.
Right. So there's a couple of different areas. Number one is the shots outside the box where they're off the line, right? 2 are aerial crosses, dealing with the crosses, right? And so or aerial balls. We saw the Lindmar goalkeeper for the final one come out of her box and come get it, and then that was a chip, right, where she's backpedaling. She did not need to come and get it, right? So the decision-making process of when to come and get the ball too. And then I would say as well, related to that is when they go to ground or when they how are they diving to kind of close the angle or meet the ball? Because the technique is lacking there as well. But I would say that if the goalkeeper coaches throughout this state, and I'm putting myself or just the coaches right into this boat too, and I'm going to make a commitment to try and work it with our own goalkeepers. We start talking about aerial balls and starting positions for these goalkeepers. I think we can eliminate 50% of. I think we can eliminate 80 to 90% of the balls that are going up high, where the goalkeepers should not be getting chipped or moved over the balls. But it's a real problem because we've got good goalkeepers, but we've got poor decision making that's happening to me, and that's why the goalkeepers are getting chipped.
I think judging the flight of the ball is just generally that's a skill. It's not necessarily
yeah, but you got to get reps.
I agreed, but what I was going to say
How
is
many
I think
times have you
that-
seen in training, right, in all your club days, the goalkeepers getting reps with crosses coming in? I don't
do
see
that.
it.
Correct.
I literally right foot, left foot balls, and we talked about one of our goalkeeper coaches the other night.
But I was
I
going
don't
to
see
say
it.
just
In
but I
swinging
was
out
going to say
swingers.
I know, but what I was going to say though too is that defenders, all players need to be able to judge the flight of the ball. The best attackers judge the flight of the ball. When the ball's coming in on that angle, they're judging the flight of the ball generally then better than perhaps the goalkeeper, better than their defenders to get on the end of it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it translates to both. Everybody has to do that, but it just seems like. It seems like that's not something that's being trained with goalkeepers, and it doesn't necessarily seem like it's being trained with defenders either. On the girl side, on the boy side, I would say I saw some guys yesterday, and actually I take that back. I did see some girls winning the ball pretty well today in the air, but it's a skill, right? It's a really big skill.
Here's my observation, and maybe the teams and the coaches that we've played can shoot holes in this and tell me I'm wrong, and I'm happy to walk it back if I am wrong. But I did not see one team that we warmed up against this year who in warm-ups, goalkeepers were dealing with aerial balls. You see the same goalkeeper warm up over and over again, which is all saves and stuff like that. And then the teams, and this is our team as well, by the way, you go into your shooting and finishing where, there might be some crosses coming in on the ground. But when you talk about aerial balls who are getting flighted in and goalkeepers making the decision to come in and catch it at its highest point, I'm just not seeing it. And so maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it's just us, and then I'm sort of speaking out of turn
it's
here.
not.
It's
But
not just you. We like
but
to-
it's reflective in the games.
Well, so it doesn't seem like something that is being talked about, and we like to be a positive disruption. So I would just challenge, and I think Matt is challenging, and Blake is challenging. Like, let's just challenge the goalkeepers to be a little better.
I'm talking about the coaches though too.
Well, that's what I mean. Is like through
I-
that.
I-
Like,
I
let's
don't-
challenge that to happen through the coaching, and like I think judging the fly of the ball, establishing a starting position on corner kicks and different phases of play. There is the word. Sorry. Well, different parts of play, Blake. Like I don't know. Different parts of the game. You're going to have to judge the ball differently. Is it a set piece? Is it in the run of play? Is it from wide?
The biggest thing I have noticed, because we've talked about this for weeks, maybe not on the pod, but internally, starting position for the goalkeeper is always has been a lot. It's been wrong a lot. And you know where their first steps usually are? Forward.
Yeah.
So they immediately get themselves in a big time problem
Right.
because they're already too high, and then they go even higher forward, and now they're
So
And they're moving forward when the
what
ball
other
is kicked,
sports?
as
Yes.
opposed to judging the flight of the ball
Correct.
first.
You
Right?
guys remember playing
and
like,
that is that's where the reps come in, right? But that's where your reps come in terms of ball gets struck, you judge the flight of the ball. Now you're arriving and catching the ball, because I mean we watch. I thought we watched the boys in the 4A final. Both goalkeepers do catch everything, and the timing was on, right? And then that's just not the same when you flip it over to the girls'
And the
side.
thing that's funny about it, there's other. You could translate this into other things. Like, okay, go stand in center field with your baseball glove on. Like go for a little run, and I'll throw it to you. Let's play. What's the game where you 500? You chuck it up there and you just go see who
Yeah.
can catch the ball. Like there are things that kids do on a regular basis to to judge the flight of the ball, and it just seems like
Maybe that's what you do is you go get an outfielder on the softball team, right? And see how they train. I don't know. 'Cause I like that analogy. Like what to me that translates like put a baseball glove in your goalkeeper and throw our high fly balls.
yeah. Blake, do you remember our coach? Of course you do, Seth Moterson. Do you remember him saying that the ball only lands in one place?
yeah.
You don't. He doesn't.
I don't, but-
I genuinely remember him saying the ball only lands in one place. So if the ball goes and it bounces, so it's landed in one place, but now it's going to bounce another, so you can reassess. So every time it bounces, that's no good because now everybody has a chance to reassess, but it's only going to get to one place. And so that's where really good players that in the air, they can get to the highest point of the ball where they're at to win it, whether that's with their hands as a goalkeeper or with their head as a player. I just think that it's a really key part of the game. Then you've got this whole not heading the ball thing, I feel like goalkeepers probably don't work in traffic trying to gather crosses.
Well, they
regularly.
don't. But like you guys just
that's
mentioned, how many times in a pregame warm-up have you seen a cross? One, nobody serves crosses in, or they do sometimes. How many times have you seen the goalkeeper coach or coaches or even players crossing balls in with players attacking and defending?
One of my
It doesn't
right?
happen,
Exactly.
but
It never
but,
happens.
but you actually you have to have a good product in terms of the cross too. That's why I know it's not happening because it's I mean it takes a good bit of skill and technique to serve in a whipped in 30
20,
30 yard
ball, yeah.
cross with players running into it. Anyway,
Well, we'll leave that as our sort of big question for the people that actually listen to the pod. We challenge you to improve. Matt, I cannot wait to see next year how much better your goalkeepers are because I know you're gonna.
I hope so. Hold me accountable to it. Hold me accountable to it.
Okay, so
Seriously.
we will, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic when I say that. I think you're gonna because I know the way you are. You will make sure that you figure out some way to improve the goalkeeper situation and make sure that that's not a problem. Not giving up goals like that. But I think that's sort of been a theme. The first five, last five, on the boys side and the girls side, and I think having a strong goalkeeper is who said it yesterday? It's like a hack. It's like a really quick hack to being a really strong team. Mm-hmm. What boys side or girls side?
Yeah, I don't know who said that, but I
It was
like it.
somebody. I don't know who it was, but it was good. It is. It's literally what's an easier way to be good? Have a goalkeeper.
Yeah, we're not done yet though. this is a tease, so people continue to listen to this part. But
Okay.
thank you. We have a lot of thanks to give. Gary Ross, Girls High School Union, made things super easy for us, super accommodating, was awesome. His whole team over there. Talked to the boss, Kills from Creative, super great. Stressful, I know this week was. It's time consuming, but you
Seabass
guys all say
Garcia.
yeah, keep going, Ben.
Uncle T.
Who?
I said Seabass Garcia, Uncle T.
Yeah.
Sathonrath.
What's T's first name?
I think it's just T. That's like it's just like that's how I know him.
Dan Rothert, Damian Corriere, Dan Menon. Who else? God, I hate
Corey.
this because Corey
Corey
Waddell,
Yeah, and Damon Correa.
Did you say Wes?
Yeah.
Weston McPhee, Bella Corriere.
Yeah.
'Cause
Pep's Pizzeria.
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah. So yeah, great week for us. Super fun.
Charlie Bales.
We will be back again in a year. It'll be interesting to see all the things that happen between now and then. But I would say one little quick thing is, slide in those DMs, tell us how we can be better, interact with us because we love it. Subscribe, like, follow, and we'll see you soon.